Vice President Kamala Harris is slamming former President Donald Trump for his controversial visit to Arlington National Cemetery earlier this week. Harris releasing a statement earlier today saying in part Trump, quote, disrespected sacred ground, all for the sake of a political stunt. And that, quote, it is my belief that someone who cannot meet this simple sacred duty should never again stand behind the seal of the presidents of the United States of America. This was the first time Vice President has directly addressed this particular controversy. Alex, what's your reaction to her statement? What do you make of the timing? It took a little bit for this response to come out.
Well, the vice president wants to keep this issue alive because it is obscuring what should have been a political slam dunk for Donald Trump. The fact is that there were 13, the families of the 13 soldiers that were killed at Abbey Gate 3 years ago. Many of those families have now endorsed Donald Trump. One of the most affecting images of the RNC in July, what were those families endorsing Donald Trump? All those families were there at Arlington Cemetery earlier this week. Many of them have endorsed Donald Trump. And the thing is that this should have been the way, like the message going into the week. Instead, because they wanted a social media video to spread on TikTok and Instagram, now this is the discussion we're having because they had an altercation with the staff at Arlington by going beyond the original place where you're seeing right now to the gravestones.
Tom Nichols joins us now. He's the staff writer for The Atlantic. Tom, great to have you here with us on a Saturday night. This was the first time the vice president really addressed this controversy. What do you think about her statement and more broadly about this whole episode?
Well, I think she's right. And, Donald Trump has no sense of propriety. He has not even disrespect for veterans and the fallen, but a real contempt for them, and he's made that clear many times. This is the guy who stood there with John Kelly in 2017 in front of the grave of Kelly's son and looked around at this very sacred place and said, "I don't get it. What was in it for them?" He has referred to the fallen from our armed forces as losers and suckers. So this is just one more event in Donald Trump's long and reprehensible line of really ghastly events and just really unacceptable behavior when it comes to America's veterans and particularly to our wounded warriors and our fallen soldiers.
And I want to talk more, too, about Vice President Harris and what she's been doing with her campaign. This week, she sat down with CNN's Dana Bash for her first interview since becoming the Democratic nominee for president. And she was asked about some of her previous policy positions, which there have been a lot of questions about. And I want to play some clips of what she said, and then we can talk about it.
In 2019, I believe, in a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed.
Something that you said in 2019 when you first ran, there was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
And so, Tom, do you see this? How do you see this playing with some of those voters out there who were on the fence, are still on the fence about where she is on different policies? And do you see this as attack to the middle?
I do see it as attack to the center. That's what presidential candidates do. It's what Ronald Reagan did. It's what George H.W. Bush did it. Barack Obama changed his mind on gay marriage. Bill Clinton declared the era of big government over. Running for president is not the same thing as running for Senate in California. Or trying to win a Democratic primary. I think it was a completely normal interview. I think those are the two moments where Dana Bash tried to pin down Harris on changing her mind. But you're not going to find a presidential candidate who runs and doesn't change his or her mind. And I think it's kind of interesting that we're having this conversation at the same time that Donald Trump has had now, 5 different positions on abortion in the last 5 days. But that's just part of running for president. And I think the rest of the interview was, pretty standard interview for a presidential candidate. And I think it was, nothing revolutionary, nothing, no home runs, no major fouls. It was kind of refreshingly normal, actually, to be honest, in my view.
And I do want to ask you about this debate that's right around the corner. I feel like with the holiday weekend, people forget it is right around the corner. Obviously, Harris has been taking shots at the Trump campaign over whether these mics will remain open or closed, and they're working through all of that. But more broadly, how high are the stakes with this debate, do you think?
Well, I don't think she's been taking shots at them about the mic. I think they've been. I think she's been kind of trolling Trump about, if you really feel that comfortable, leave the microphones on, because he's going to shout over them anyway, no matter whether they're on or off. I think the debates in this case are more important for Trump, because I think what you saw in the CNN interview is that, Harris is not going to rise to some of the bait. I think one of the most effective moments in that interview is when she was asked about one of Trump's, one of his many ghastly racist statements. And she said, same old playbook, next question. And that's exactly what she should have done. And that's the kind of thing that annoys him. He's the one that I think runs the risk of confirming yet again to millions of people that he's unstable, that there's something wrong with him. When Trump's not on television, his approval ratings go up. The more he's on, the more people see of him, his ratings go back down. And I think the debate is a great opportunity for him to look unhinged, as he usually does. And he's been in a meltdown for a few weeks. I don't think that's going to change in the next, as you pointed out, Jessica, it's like we're 8 days away from it now, right, 9 days away from it. I don't think he's going to change in a week and a half.
Well, we will all watch it unfold together. Tom Nichols, great to have you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.